It appears that there are still a lot of people divided about this lockdown, so let's play a little COVID comparison game so you can see why everyone should be upset with the Ontario government and not each other. So grocery stores and liquor stores are open at 50%, and the malls were jammed on the weekend. Yet restaurants are closed and you can't even sit outside on a patio. Gyms, indoor and outdoor sports, all canceled. Unless, of course, you're a professional athlete. Then you can eat at restaurants and train at gyms. You can attend a funeral or other religious service, but only at 15% capacity. Have you ever been in a church? Super high ceilings, lots of room, almost like being outside. Yet schools are open at full capacity. Oh, and you can get married too, but all personal care services are closed, so good thing no one can come because you're gonna look like shit. Now, according to the CFIB, 220,000 businesses have been closed in Canada and 600,000 net jobs have been lost. Yet banks, Amazon, Walmart, and a myriad of other grocers have had record years of growth and expansion. All this, and we as a country have increased government wages by $7 billion this year. Welcome to the Sunshine List, literally everybody. And our chief medical officers, bless their efforts, were never prepared to wield this sword. They've been given unwarranted authoritarian power to lock down our country and seize property. Why? In fact, our Premier Doug Ford even said, and I quote, "There isn't going to be one politician in this country that's going to disagree with their chief medical officer. They might as well throw a rope around their neck and jump off a bridge." Nice touch. On that note, you say we need to save the most vulnerable in society, and yet more young adults and kids have died from suicide and drug overdose than COVID. So it's okay if these kids literally hang themselves so long as you don't have to figuratively do the same and lose your overpaid gig as Premier? Shame on you, Ford. Then they tell everyone that the vaccine is the cure-all, and I'm not saying it's not a great solution, but we're administering it slower than any developed nation by such a large margin that our premiers are openly criticizing the federal government and calling this a bad joke. Look, we thought COVID was going to kill 10% of the population. Luckily, it didn't. It only terminally affects 0.01 and 0.03 of the population, so your original modeling was only off by 97%. Yet we're still using the same lockdown tactics and approach as when this all started. My point here is that none of this makes any sense, and it's crazy to me that people argue that we need to stay locked down. We're actually already mostly open. Our government is making arbitrary decisions to restrict the same activities just in different industries, in effect demolishing entire industries with no supporting data. Everyone can see this, right? They're doing things that contradict their very decisions. 50% capacity at liquor stores. No one can sit on a patio or go to the gym. 15% in a church, but schools are fully open. How is this acceptable? Whether you're for the lockdown or against it, you should be pissed. This is a half-hearted effort in each direction, and it will yield no positive results. So rather than being upset with one another, take your argument to the government, because they're not going to help anyone with this strategy. It has to end.
Hey, Don. Good to see you. Oh, you're not there. There you are. Talk about a redefining road rage there from Jonathan Harvey.
That was a great rant, a great and honest rant, especially with the fact that you got grocery stores open, you got schools fully occupied, and you can't have a beer 16 feet apart on a patio. It's insanity. That's the world we live.
Absolutely. And I mean, I know you like to golf. You're not as good as I am, but you know, you can go golfing right now, you can play tennis, but you can't have an outdoor boot camp. So if you're a young fitness entrepreneur right now, you know, I'm sorry. I know we haven't ranted about things for a while, so I'm not going to rant. I'm going to beg people who are watching to please get on their bikes and communicate with their elected officials. This is crap, and all we need are vaccines, testing, and tracing. We don't need more confusing policy.
Yeah, I've now communicated to 1,000 emails outbound. I've had
You said 1,000.
1,000, because once you put the list together, you might as well inundate them. I've had three responses, 2 from the mayor of Newmarket, and 1 from John Tory's staff. And this is every premier, I mean, so the point is, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying I'm not sure what they're doing because they can't count, and they certainly aren't responding to us. So enough of the whining.
Yeah, they're not listening. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for quarantine, but we've all seen the videos of Yorkdale. We've all seen the lineups outside of the big box stores. But obviously, we need help. And whether it be vaccines, we're seeing lots of great messaging, or quarantine. So maybe before we jump into Weekly Pulse, let's have a quick look. Google's captured a lot of magic in terms of making sure that people, especially in the United States, where things are still running amok are paying attention.
Mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue à Vancouver pour un bateau.
All right, Don, time for Weekly Pulse. Now tell me, is there going to be another quiz this week?
I think you're 1 for 9. There are 3 graphs of daily cases.
Okay.
One's Canada lockdown.
Yep.
One's UK with that variant that all we do is talk about. And one's the Texas state with no masks for the last 30 days. Which one's which?
Oh, is this part of my quiz?
This is part of your quiz.
Is this Sarah Stoll somewhere in the background on maternity leave trying to like make a complete and utter fool out of me? Okay,
No,
so which one?
If she's watching this, she will actually be sick at the look of this chart, but we had to get this done. Yeah, which one's Texas? Which one's Canada? Which one's the UK?
I'm going to assume Canada's on the far right. And
with the lockdown, they're on the far right, great.
yeah, and I'm going to say that the UK is on the far left and Texas is in the middle. So UK, Texas, Canada.
So Texas in the middle with no mask. So let's see what we have here. Let's see how you did. You did better than normal.
Ouch. Okay, I wasn't too far off, but the moral of the story here is
the moral of the story is the UK variant. The decline is straight down with vaccinations. Why are we so worried about the UK variant when UK, who created the variant, is going straight down? Texas, we love to say how shitty they are. They have 40,000 people in the stands. Man, they're going to pay for it. They have open masks, open businesses. Forget everything. Let's start living. They're down. We're sitting in a lockdown for, I don't know, day 200 in Toronto. And what's happening? 4,250 cases. I think we can clearly see by data that lockdowns are not the magic. So let's go to the next one.
But we know what the magic is on those two.
What's that?
Well, I'll let you keep going. You lead. And by the way, Sarah Stovall just wrote heart, laugh emoji, and green vomit. I don't know if that's how she's feeling today, or maybe that's one of her kids, or if she's making comments on us. But clearly, this is my job security.
Where does Canada rank as a country in vaccinations administered per person? First overall in the world, 22nd, 35th, 52nd, and I bet you 90% of Canadians can't name 35 other countries.
Well, thanks for the leading answer. So I'll go with 35, even though I heard the other day that I think we rank 170th now in some new index of how we've handled COVID. I'm itching to do 52, but I just can't possibly believe there's 51 countries that are better than us on vaccines. So let's go with C. Pause. Christ, are you kidding me?
There's many.
I can't name 51 other countries.
There's many countries. That's how well we're doing. So remember back to Texas's graph and UK with that deadly variant and how they're doing.
Yeah.
So just to give some perspective, let's go to the next slide where we'll show you. This is Canada's reality. Cases on the left-hand side, and yes, they're increasing. The right-hand side is deaths, and we don't want anyone to die. And yes, I hear the ICU is full, but I also hear there's 2,815 units in Ontario alone with ventilators. Yet we are at pandemic, danger stage with 500. Not saying we want more people sick, but we are going to have a lot more people sicker for a lot longer without actually going to it. So let's go to the next slide, which looks at what happened at Texas at this date. You can see it declines after. What did they do?
What's the date? My eyes are
March 10th, 2021.
March 10th. I don't know. What did they do? They opened up.
So they declined. Everything declined while they opened up. Does that make any sense to anything you've ever heard?
Was I right with my answer, by the way?
Let's see what they do. Eric? Mask mandate eliminated, businesses open. Yet everyone in Canada is saying it's going to be crazy. It's going to increase through the world. So if we go to the next, this is what actually happens in Texas.
Hold on a second. I want a little bit of kudos. I got a question, right? You don't just get to
now you got one of the first two. So now you're 3 for 14, which isn't bad. But people want live or to live. The fact is, this was the Jays in Texas opener. The fact is 40,000 people. They go, oh, you wait to see what happens. They're watching what happens. They're getting people vaccinated. They have a government that actually secured vaccines. They're actually distributing vaccines. And guess what? They're starting to relive life. The UK, the same thing. We are so far behind. There's one mandate in life. Let's get us vaccinated. So let's move on to see where Canadians want to go. Do they actually want to live or have live events? Here's recently done for April 1st. This is the momentum or intention of people wanting to go to live sporting events, up over 28 or 25%. Live concerts, 25%. Live festivals, 30%. The fact is, even during this endless lockdown, people can't wait to get out. The need to live far exceeds the fear of actually not living, and they understand what's going on. So we go to the next one. Let's look at what's going on among outdoor and indoor events. You can see people, even though we're going to summertime, want the indoor events because that's where the concerts and sports are in the fall. So both things lead to a great future for live. Nothing different, but this was updated last week. Eric, to the next one. We look at charity. Community events up almost 60%, increased intention. But one big thing we got to be concerned about or conscious of, and I know the charities are, is that people are not as charitable. It's not about volunteering, it's about themselves to start with. So how do we wrap charity donations and volunteers around community events when they can reopen? It's going to be a crucial thing for brands to do. Do you see much going on with charities versus community events as far as in your world?
Well, it's simple. Everyone's confused. I think by now we hoped to be out of this. You know, what somebody just posted a comment saying, you know, I don't know if they were arguing if you were reinforcing that the UK was locked down for 3 months and just opening up now, but that's irrelevant. What's relevant is they're vaccinated. What's relevant in Texas, the reason those numbers are holding in Texas is when you get to the point where they are now, where they're almost approaching 40% of adults are vaccinated, the vaccine runs out of places to go. In Canada, I pity all of our charity partners because, you know, people are trying to plan live events for the fall. You know, we continue to get worse. It's embarrassing and shocking to sit here at April 9th and be so far back. So I you know, challenge for these groups. And I might have misheard this, but I was in a meeting this morning where I heard that now they're actually banning you from live streaming. The government doesn't want a single musician in a venue to be able to live stream. Like, what is happening?
They have nothing else to do but to overthink and not have a solution. Just going to go to one last look at travel. And this is really good news for the travel industry. So to be able to travel on the far right side, people really want to travel inside the country. Now they want a vacation outside your country, up again, 55% plus. And to do so, you have to travel by plane. And you can see increases in both sectors. So the fact is, this is people clawing at living. The fact is, they're tired. We already knew that. But the fact is, they're not becoming, they're not sitting there paralyzed. They actually are dreaming about what's going to go on, whether it's live events, live concerts, community events, planes travel. So for brands and companies, there's a huge opportunity to now reopen the communication even before we reopen the actual activities, because there's demand across the board. I think this is great for the travel sector. You can see cruises still down. If you look at this second from the left, not surprising. Anyway, very good news across Canada. Let's move on and get out of pulse because I know we took enough time there. But you did well. You're 3 of 14 questions now.
Well, thanks, buddy. And you know what? It's a shocking moment where we're now in a position where now the Americans are saying, don't open the border to Canada. Hey, you know what? A couple of weeks ago on Bourbon, we talked about the fact that at the NCAA men's and women's basketball tournaments, there's this incredible disparity between the weight rooms. The men's weight rooms were fully equipped and gussied up. The women's weight room, was horrible. It was an insult to them. And it actually prompted me to actually watch more of the women's tournament than the men's tournament. And I just fell in love with the Arizona women's team and their coach. And so to kick things off, I just want to run a quick clip because I love this. After Arizona upset UConn, the longtime perennial favorite NCAA women's basketball program, although they haven't won in 4 or 5 years, I love this moment with her team, and then I love this press conference.
Postseason, the belief they have had in one another. Postseason, the belief they have had in one another.
I'm just myself. I don't really think of there is no strategy to it. There isn't no plan to be a certain way. It's just, I just do what I feel, I guess. Which is good and bad, because you saw at the end of the game, I honestly had a moment with my team, and I thought it was like a more intimate huddle. And I said to my team something that I truly felt, and I know they felt, and it just appeared different on TV, but I'm not apologizing for it because I don't feel like I need to apologize. It's what I felt with my team at the moment, and I wouldn't take it back. We've gone to war together. We look around the room, and we looked around the circle. We believe in each other. So I'm in those moments, and that's how I am, so I don't apologize for doing that. But I'm just me, and I have to just be me.
Love it. First off, in the moment, wasn't disrespecting anyone. Just going, yeah, we did it. Part of, as she said, go to war, intimate moment. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's fantastic she didn't cave to. I'm going to apologize for it. Way too many fake apologies these days.
Yeah, and I also wonder, would the men's coach from Arizona have been asked to apologize?
I don't think it's a gender issue right now. I think it's everything issue. Nothing is right. Way too much time on people's hands. Yeah. I don't think that's a gender issue.
Yeah. And if you watch the Arizona Stanford women's final game, it was amazing. Went down to the last shot. Arizona's little player Jackson was amazing. Almost hit the big winner. The other thing about Barnes, people don't know, besides the fact that she's a great coach, took Arizona to the finals first time. Literally at halftime, she was pumping breast milk in the hallway because she's a young mother. So, you think about that, and I love that. I just love that moment. That's a Mark Harrison moment if I've ever seen one. I've got to say it. Absolutely love it. One of the conversations I've been having a lot these days, Don, in sponsorship, especially in the U.S. with things like the name, image, and likeness coming out, we're looking at a lot of purpose brands. We're looking at the sort of the athlete becoming the hero. We're doing a clubhouse on Monday to talk about sponsorship of women's sports, which is still completely pathetic. But there's a CarMax advertisement that caught my eye the other day that I just want to roll and get your thoughts on this one.
Stefan, glad you're back.
What's up, man? Let's do this.
Great, I'll get the paperwork.
What, no haggling?
No pressure either. Just a quality car for an upfront price. Man, if you'd have told me this morning I'd be working with a 4-time champ.
3-time champ.
No, I sold a car to Sue Bird. 11 All-Star appearances. Can you imagine?
I mean, I'm working on it.
The way it should be.
I think it's great. Comment there is, and it's not about men versus women. It's not about this gender inequality when it comes to driving sponsorship and viewership. We have to engage men because men are the biggest consumers of women's sports there are, as you said. And if you look around, the biggest supporters, they actually love all sports. The average person loves 20 different sports. Not saying women can't get there, but we need to engage both. And I think it's brilliant ad because you got Steph and Sue in there actually doing it together.
I love the look on Steph Curry's face. It's just, I'm working on it, right? Absolutely amazing. For those of you who are out there trying to sell sports sponsorship, there's a brand that just keeps popping up in my radar, and you're probably seeing it as well, that I would say if you haven't called them today, if you haven't called them yet, call them today. It's Hyper Ice. A quick spot from Hyper Ice, and we can talk about their latest deal. So they just cut a deal. This company's just done a deal with the U.S. Soccer program. And, I actually got, here's my boy Juju, our boy Juju. I actually got my mom one of these for her birthday. I don't know. You got any aches and pains, Don? Because, their technology is amazing.
Yeah, we have 2 of them at our house because I have lots of aches and pains. And there's so many different brands out there. But, I mean, first in rarely wins. It's always second, third. And if you hook up with some major celebs that actually endorse it, that's the one place that brands work is actually part of their process. So, I mean, obviously they got the backing, they'll get the payout in the long term if the content's great.
Well, and I think what they've done with their technology, which is really amazing, is their partnerships with people like the NFL and Major League Baseball. they're actually not just sponsorships, they're actually developing the products along with them. So if you're in the sports world and you're looking for a hot brand to call, I don't know anybody there, so don't be asking me for an intro. Just get off your butt and call Hyperice. Now, have you bought an NFT yet?
No, but I know people in our office and my son and some other people, 100%.
Nuts. So our best friend Tom Brady has launched an NFT company. Let's have a look.
Brady announced that he's launching an NFT platform called Autograph. NFT stands for non-fungible tokens, which is digital content that people trade that go for a lot of money. Co-founder and CEO of Autograph, Dylan Rosenblatt, told CNN, quote, Autograph will bring together some of the world's most iconic names and brands with best-in-class digital artists to ideate, create, and launch NFTs and groundbreaking experiences to a community of fans and collectors. To put things into perspective, digital artist Beeple just sold artwork for $69 million.
So the word fungible is always a great word. It's it doesn't sound like you can say it on air, but I mean, the early entries, if we're finding out, Mark, looking at our age, we're too late for the big hit. First in's going to make a fortune. The fact is we've seen actually declines in prices in recent weeks, but not in total market value. Because
are you guys studying NFTs yet?
Yes. So they're moving more. They're moving a lot more into it, but it's supply demand. As the supply increases, and there's no end to supply. Every second there's another big supply. There's going to be some things worth a fortune and other things worth very little. And the fact is, it's probably going to be like art. The fact is, there's going to be some things worth an insane amount of money, and some things, and most stuff in the middle. The person that's going to be hurt is the general consumer who gets in late and thinks they're going to always go up. Nothing goes up forever.
That's true. Two things about this. One is I love the name because it actually made me realize that there's probably going to be an entire segment of NFTs around literally autographs, right?
Right.
Because people clamor to get autographs. And, you know, I admire Tom Brady, but I hate him. But kudos to him because he's lined up an all-star team. He's got Don Ostroff from Spotify in there. He's got Eddie Q from Apple in there. He's got Canadian Mike Rapino, who, you know, runs Live Nation and executive producer on one of my favorite tearjerker movies, A Star is Born. Yes, I love Lady Gaga in that movie and Bradley Cooper. But you know what? It's a genius play for Tom Brady, and I guess he doesn't have enough money, so he's going to get more now.
He will get, yes. I would say to the young people out there that believe that everything goes up like the stock market has been for the last while, things do go down. You should probably go back to 1929 or 2008 and do a little studying because it's not a panacea of profits.
All right, so clearly Grumpy Don Mail is back in the house in case anybody's wondering where he went. We might have to get Vanessa back here to give a little smile back to Bourbon Street. But on a serious note, there's a lot of things going on right now with politics and sport, and I just want to share with you my man Bomani Jones. Not that we're buddies. His take on the move of the Major League Baseball moving the All-Star Game. Just to kick off a quick last call here on Sponsorship X.
The Atlanta Braves should be ashamed of themselves. Major League Baseball did the only thing it could do, remove the 2021 All-Star Game from Truist Park after the state of Georgia passed sweeping Jim Crow-like legislation that makes voting harder for its citizens and in ways that seem directed at black people. The Braves put out a statement expressing displeasure with that decision, claiming the victims of that are the fans and businesses, that Atlanta has a legacy as a uniter, and they'd hope to use the game as a platform for discussion. Like there was going to be a voting rights presentation before the home run derby. Atlanta has never been a unifier, nor has it been united. Those empty seats during Braves playoff games were about segregation, not poor fandom. Atlanta is the prototype for white flight in America, where white neighborhoods turned black as soon as one black person showed up. And it's the city where its baseball team was so dedicated to leaving a black neighborhood in the city that they built a stadium in the suburbs. It forced that move on Cobb County's residents without even asking the locals if anyone wanted them to come. White Atlanta has run from black Atlanta for decades. The Braves just did the same thing. Now, the Falcons and big business have decried this voting bill, but not the Braves. There are costs to losing the All-Star Game, but there are victims. The victims are those having their right to vote threatened. And it's clear the Braves don't give a damn about them.
I mean, honestly, the Georgia state legislature has passed a law making it illegal to bring food or water to somebody in a voting line. They have stopped Sunday voting because they know that's when black people vote. There are bills all across the United States sponsored by the Republicans related to voter suppression. Yet the U.S. wants to condemn China for human rights and condemn other countries.
There's also 40 states that are doing voter changes. There's not 40 Republican states. It's about marginalized. I mean, it's politics. Politics sucks. I mean, it's about greed. It's about power. This should not be new to us. Prince Philip died, and he was one of the greatest colonists of all time, as we talked about before he went on. So you look at that. I mean, this has been around a long time. Major League Baseball really doesn't stand for anything. They're trying to jump in and do a token movement. Of course, voter suppression shouldn't be there. It's the people can talk about it. So yes, It's outrageous, but it's big. It's bigger than Atlanta when 40 states are doing significant voter changes.
It's not just 40 non-Republican states. It is 40 groups of Republicans, because it doesn't mean all those things have been approved. And my point is the Atlanta Braves, before complaining about the fact this was going to cost $100 million to Cobb County, should have looked at the fact that they abandoned the city of Atlanta to move.
They're tone deaf 100%. I'm not supporting what they did. They're totally tone deaf. I just think it's a bigger issue, and I'm probably a little sensitive.
It's not a bigger issue. This is the issue. That's my point. This is the issue. There's nothing bigger than by giving these awards, like it's like the World Cup to Qatar, which we were going to talk about. We don't have enough time. These organizations award these things, and then later they get involved. The Atlanta Braves should have stood up and said,
agreed,
we support black people, and we don't think that voter suppression should occur. That's my point.
Agreed 100%. Not debating that. I just think it's bigger than that is the point, but it's bigger than the rhetoric we hear from some individuals that have.
How can you call it rhetoric? Are they supposed to be quiet? Like, he's speaking his mind. It's not rhetoric.
No, they're not supposed to be quiet, but some of the facts there, we should all fact check too. I'm not trying to debate it. You can't win this one. 100% they should not suppress voters. They should have everyone on the street. Everyone should get to vote. Mail-in ballots are proven. Colorado's done it since 2013. 100%. You should have voter ID. That should not be optional. Canada has voter ID. But anyway.
The last thing I'm going to plant in your brain, just to remember this, is in the U.S. Senate, the Republican senators represent 23% of the American population. That's how gerrymandering fucks up elections. Those 50 senators represent 23% of the American population. There's my fact of the day for you. I know you made a little comment about Prince Philip. I appreciate that he's not been the best human being in the world. But I, as a proud Canadian and somebody who once got up at 4 a.m. to watch Princess Diana and Charles' wedding, because I worked with a bunch of people that were British, it is sad. He made it to 99. Yes, he's not the best man in the world, and he made some incredibly racist comments, and they are the biggest colonizers. But, we should acknowledge that we are part of the Commonwealth, and Prince Philip passed away today. On a much more serious tone, it is almost, it's just after the 3-year milestone of the horrible bus crash in Saskatchewan that left 16 dead from the Humboldt Broncos. I know, Don, that hockey is near and dear to your heart, and you coached for a hell of a long time, and you rode those buses. I'm sure every time you flash back to that moment, it probably makes you concerned.
Yeah, when you look at the pictures, and I was watching something on a couple days ago where you just forget that I believe 16 of the 25 in the picture are gone. Like and the other ones aren't that happy. Like, I mean, not happy, they're healthy. So right. Yeah, it's a dark reminder of living today.
Logan Baholt was one of the players. He died at 21. His heart and cornea and other organs went, and they're in 6 different people. His parents are upset because Alberta, where the transplant of his heart happened, has really tough transplant rules, unlike other provinces where you can actually, if there's a mutual interest in meeting up, you can actually meet up with the family of the donor and the person, the beneficiary. And it's kind of amazing. He actually signed that organ donation card only a few weeks before he died. And so there's been this ongoing Green Shirt campaign to get people. So if you have not signed your organ donation card, you should. And I'm going to say, thanks for having a quiz that I could do a little better than 1 of 14 on, Don.
That's a great end, Mark, the voter donor card. Absolutely.
Good to see you. And let's take it home with a little bit of a tribute to the Humboldt Broncos.
Have a good weekend.
If I only had 2 words left to say to you, with my last breath I'd confess the truth to you. You've never left my side, even when I fell behind. Thank you for the life you've given me. Thank you for sharing all your love and all your dreams. Thank you for every tear of happiness I've cried. Thank you for laying down beside me here tonight. When I close my eyes, I say a prayer for one more day with you. And when I wake, I embrace the one who pulls me through, who pulls me through the storm. Where